giving all praises to Allah. Welcome to Nia 2X TV, Black Balanced News and Information. You're watching Black People Are on the Rise. And Carlton Thompson will give us a recap of 2019 and the accomplishments of Black people. Today, our very special guest is Edward Johnson, and he'll be talking about Your Health is Your Wealth. I'm your host, Nia 2X, and you can count on powerful information we'll always share with you. Once you get it, you have to apply it in order to be successful. Our sponsors of this program include S&B Moving and Hauling Company. They're here in the DMV, and that's DC, Maryland, and Virginia. Also sponsoring this portion of the program is the 100 Fathers Incorporated, ordinary men doing extraordinary things. We're broadcasting from eLife Studios here in Capitol Heights, Maryland. That's 9185 Central Avenue. Brothers and sisters, Black people are on the rise. We have so much to be excited about. That's why we are here. It's all for you and all people of goodwill. Please like and share. Now, at this time, we want to make sure we know that we're broadcasting our very first show, and it's dedicated to my mother, Miss Venie. Love you, Mom. Our super fantastic guest, Mr. Edward Johnson, has an earful to share with all of us about healing the body. And he will share advice and his opinion along with his experience in obtaining the very best in health. As a disclaimer, our guest, Edward Johnson, is not a medical expert, so before following any advice he shares with us, consult with a medical doctor and be sure to do your research first and foremost. So without further ado, it's my pleasure to introduce to you Mr. Edward Johnson. Peace to you, brother. I'm so glad you're here. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Indeed. You look great. How do you feel?
I feel great. I'm very blessed.
I know that's right.
I have great health.
Yes, indeed. And that's why we want to talk about great health, because I don't have to tell you, I'm preaching to the choir, it is so very much needed. You know, before we get into the program, I want to ask, where were you born, where were you raised, and a little bit of your employment background.
Okay. I am a native Washingtonian. I spent a portion of my youth in Washington, D.C., and over a period of years, my father, a native from Montgomery, Alabama, moved to Alabama. We spent about 10 years there. He was a radio announcer there when Rosa Parks refused to walk to the back of the bus, and was instrumental in helping the bus boycott be successful. Returning to Washington, D.C., I received a bachelor's degree in architecture and a master's in urban planning in Washington, D.C. from Howard University, and over time received a license to practice architecture in Washington, D.C., and ultimately received a license and provide services in D.C., Maryland, Virginia, and the state of California. I might also mention I'm a fine artist, and my passion is nutritional and spiritual healing.
Yes.
And I share advice to a lot of folks.
Is that right?
Yes, everywhere.
When you say everywhere, and you share a lot of advice everywhere to a lot of folks, how did you get into holistic health from being an architect?
Well, I'm finishing a book as we speak. It's entitled I Am an Architect for Health. As a matter of fact, the book is written, I'm editing. And people ask all the time, how do I go from architecture to health? Well, to summarize a portion of the book, and I say at a point, I asked the reader to go back with me in time, so I asked the audience to go back with me in time. While jogging and preparing for a high school track meet, I had a freak accident, stumbled and fell, causing a piece of bone to dislodge in my right knee from the femur, which is the bone that extends from the hip and terminates behind the kneecap. I had major surgery. I was in the hospital for a week and a few days and home for a day or two. The very day I went back to school, I stumbled and fell and caused severe injury to the same knee back in front of the surgeon. He wanted to operate again. I said no. I wound up with major arthritis. 20 years later, I met a little angel of a minister in Baltimore named Reverend Ella Everett. She noticed that I was constantly being sensitive to my right knee. She asked why, and I said I had arthritis. She said, get some red clover, that'll get rid of the arthritis. That was in 1986. So several weeks later, I did finally buy some arthritis from a local health food market, and in several weeks.
You bought some arthritis, or you bought some red clover?
No, I bought red clover. She recommended red clover, and I purchased that red clover and took it every day. And over a period of a few weeks, the arthritis was gone. So I went back to the same little health food market, and I purchased the natural herb again and several others, and I realized I was purchased a book on nutritional healing and started reading, and I realized I was learning a little bit that could help other areas of my mind and body. And over a number of years, I began to share ideas to folks about how to improve the quality of their health. And my theory is God infused in this planet and above it all the nutrients we need to maintain and improve the quality of health. And so they are the fruits and veggies and the birds of the air, the fish of the sea. And if we follow these natural substances, they can prove to be beneficial to various aspects of health.
Well, let's go back. Now, when you said you purchased red clover, was it a pill? Was it a tea?
Capsule.
Excuse me, please. And how old were you at that time? What was your age, or what decade of life were you in? Your 30s, your 40s?
I was probably in my 30s.
So this happened in your early 30s.
Right.
How long did you experience the arthritis?
More than 20 years. As
Consistently?
Consistent arthritis, daily arthritis.
Were you going to medical experts for help?
I had seen a few doctors, but the drugs weren't helping.
So the doctors gave you drugs.
Right.
And over time, as you're stating, those drugs did not get rid of the arthritis.
They masked the pain. And
break that down for us when you explain to us your pain.
When I say
was
mask
masked.
the pain, the drugs help to reduce the feeling of pain in my right knee.
I see.
But it would come back. And so when I took this red clover herb in a capsule form on a daily basis, over a period of time, the arthritis was gone.
How much time?
Probably a month or so.
About a month. Wow, that's amazing.
Or maybe less. It's been so long I can't remember, but I do remember clearly by taking this particular natural herb, it helped to eliminate the arthritis in my right knee.
So is that when your curiosity, or your interest rather, began to open up if red clover can do this? And this was an over-the-counter. This was an over-the-counter
Right.
Supplement. You didn't need a prescription.
No, purchased in a health food market.
Simple as that.
That was it. Over-the-counter product in a health food market.
Were chemicals in it? Were drugs in this red clover?
No.
Pure red clover.
Clear red clover. In a capsule form.
In a capsule form.
And I took it with juice of water.
Yes, sir.
That was it.
Now, did the box tell you to take it that way, or your instinct said, hey, I'm going to try it with water today, I'm going to try it with juice today? They had instructions on how you would take
Generally,
it.
when you buy herbs, which come from your roots, barks, berries, leaves, and flowers from plants across the world, they will give you instruction. 1 capsule twice a day, or 3 times a day. So the instructions are there. Some will say, take, for example, cayenne, which is one of the most important herbs on the planet. You have to take cayenne with food and drink a liquid. Why? Because it's pure pepper. Why is it so important? Cayenne is high in vitamin C. It builds your cardiovascular system. It heals ulcers, heals hemorrhoids, lowers cholesterol, reduces arthritis, and burns calories. So if you consume cayenne on a daily basis with food and a liquid, it burns calories while you're sleeping. You can lose weight. I've discovered that over time.
So, just like you're saying, once that red clover did what it did to the arthritis, you began to start reading, researching, and would find other ingredients, natural supplements that are found mostly in health food stores, such as cayenne,
Right.
like you just named. What else would you like to share with us in your research of finding natural supplements to major diseases?
Well,
Diseases, before we
I-
go further.
I really realized over time that there are lots of books written on natural supplements and the benefits for various areas of the body. So I would take time to begin to review certain areas. For example, if an individual consumes the juice of a half a lemon squeezed in 8 ounces of room temperature water, first thing in the morning, 10 minutes before you eat or drink anything else, there are 29 health benefits associated with that. Now, I'm not going to tell you I can remember them all, but I will mention some of the most important. Number one, a half a lemon squeezing the juice and pulp in 8 ounces of room temperature water 10 minutes before you eat or drink anything else, first thing in the morning, will detox the liver, which has a positive effect on detoxing the kidney and the blood, lowers cholesterol, reduces arthritis, helps to reduce inflammation in your sinuses and your lungs, which means reduces sinusitis and problems with the lungs, can reduce a bit of arthritis, helps to balance the pH, helps to improve the function of the heart, flush the colon, and on and on and on. And so I've discovered that as I've read more and more and read articles and research projects and seen information on the internet about natural health and healing, I began to share these thoughts and recommendations with other folks. But I always tell people, please consult your healthcare provider, physician, before you consume any of the recommendations that Eddie Johnson provides. But people begin to come back and say, I followed your suggestion or suggestions and determined that my recommendations did in fact help them to reduce or eliminate a particular issue in their body.
Beautiful. Now, the people that you're helping, are they from all walks of life? Are they just from the DC area? Are they from around the country or outside of the country? Describe the individuals. How do they find you?
I'd say predominantly I've shared, I travel a bit, so I've shared recommendations with people that I've met or encountered across all over this country and several areas when I've traveled outside the country. As a matter of fact, I've gotten to a point now where I'll see someone in a wheelchair or with a cane or with a cast on a leg or body on a public street, and I'll actually stop and ask them, what happened to you? Most people will respond favorably. I believe that all of us are on this planet to love each other. And what is love? Reaching out and helping another human being when you cannot benefit. We're all messengers for each other. And if we stop and listen when an individual approaches and says, I have a suggestion that may be helpful to you in a particular area, don't brush them off because you don't know them or they're not on your academic or professional level. Stop and listen. You might learn something. And
Absolutely.
I found that to be true across every walk of life. And so when I stop people at bus stations and train stations, at the bus stop, at the metro, and share thoughts, most people will listen and thank me that I've shared something that can be beneficial. And in some instances, I can actually pick up people's energies when I'm standing in their presence.
Is that right?
Recently, I was in the presence, I shouldn't say recently, a year ago, in the presence of a number of physicians in Cape Cod, Massachusetts. And I didn't realize I was talking to all physicians. But one of them happened to ask me what I did, and I said, you want my day job or my passion? They said, give me your day job. I said, my day job, I'm an architect and urban planner in private practice, but my passion is nutritional and spiritual healing. And they kind of chuckled. And I pointed to the guy on my left, and I said, you've got a bad case of arthritis.
Ooh.
That was God picking up his energy and informing me. They stopped laughing. Then I found out what they were. One was a heart surgeon, one was an internist, an orthopedic surgeon, and I forgot the other guy. And they stopped laughing. But when I finished, I spent about 20 minutes talking to them. They were ready to pay for a book that's not even published, and we all laughed. But
And
they
we're gonna-
seriously were.
Well, we're going to talk about that book a little later on in the show because many people, I'm number one, I want to read that book. I'd like to understand better about supplements. Let's talk a little bit about traditional therapy when people get ill. And we see commercials, just for me, too many commercials on television telling us to take a drug, and then they tell us the side effect of the drug, and that side effect, as many of us know, is horrible. I mean, you are hearing horrible side effects. And I'm also saying, Mr. Johnson, that these drugs that are being advertised on mainstream television, they're almost coming out every week. Every time you turn around, I think the FDA is proving these drugs as fast as they can get them out. And I don't like the side effects. I wouldn't dare take some of the drugs that they're offering based on the side effects that they're telling us what's going to happen to them. And yet you see population here in this country, people tend to be very, very sick. We'll talk about that. I want you to know, if you're just tuning in, our very special guest is Edward Johnson. And he is here as an author and here offering his life experience. And when he changed his life at around the age of 30 due to an injury to his knee that was diagnosed with arthritis, which is a major problem in the black community and America.
Everywhere.
Everywhere. So before we go into all of that, let's get your views on traditional medicine. They're just your views. Why are these side effects, they're horrible, that I'm hearing, and I'm sure others are hearing too. What's that all about, in your opinion, sir?
Well, I never tell, I never tell any individual not to follow the advice of your physician. Now, we know that the pharmaceutical industry is on television 24 hours a day, every hour on the hour. Many of the products that they produce have positive benefits. They also have negative side effects. I don't have anything, I have very little to say about drugs. But I believe that God provided for us in this planet a lot of natural substances that are beneficial for health. For example, most people don't realize that fruits and vegetables are not only important because they have vitamins and minerals, but they're also important because they have what are called phytonutrients, which add color, taste, and disease-fighting compounds. For example, take something like spinach. Spinach is high in vitamin C, calcium, magnesium, phosphorus. By the way, magnesium is essential for building connective tissues and helping you to sleep at night. A lot of people can't sleep. In addition, a number of B complex vitamins, which are essential for the muscular system in the body to function normally. Spinach also has two phytonutrients. One is called oxycalciton, which allows the bones to absorb calcium much more efficiently. And the other is called neoaxanthin, which causes cancer in the prostate. This is serious for guys. Cancer in the prostate to self-destruct. Let's take another. A lot of folks are on this kale pursuit because they know kale is beneficial. Kale is beneficial because it has vitamin A, C, and E, bone-building vitamin K, two phytonutrients, especially good for women. That is, one is called sulforaphane, which causes cancer cells in the body to disintegrate, and number two, indole, which cause cancer in the breast to also dissolve and dissipate. And so many of these fruits and veggies have a variety of these nutrients that not only are effective for improving your energy, but improving the quality of health. That is the key. Now, vitamin C. Folks ask me all the time, what do you recommend first? Vitamin C is the most important vitamin you put in your body. Why? It builds your cardiovascular system. And which means it also builds your immune system. So I mentioned the people who are having, individuals or groups who are having problems with immune system or their sinuses, take a lot of vitamin C. An adult needs to consume 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C on a daily basis, every day. Beyond your fruits and veggies, take a supplement. When you're taking supplements, I recommend that supplements should be taken in the form of a capsule, crystal, or liquid, not a pill. Pills are very difficult to digest. God gave us hydrochloric acid to digest enzymes to digest whole foods. So pills are very difficult to digest in the system. So if you're going to buy supplements outside of the fruits and vegetables that are available to us across the planet, buy your supplements again as liquid, capsules, crystals, and take them with food. The other thing I recommend from a spiritual perspective when it comes to consuming food
Sure.
is beyond, asking God to bless it, be thankful. Thank you, Father, rather than asking over and over for a gift or blessing about health is begging. You bring the right kind of energies into mind, body, spirit by giving thanks. Gratitude means everything. It means faith. I believe my health is being improved. Thank you, Father, for healing me. Thank you, Father, for eliminating this virus in my head and my chest. And then consume the right supplements. For example, I just mentioned vitamin C, Echinacea Golden Seal.
Well, before you go on, you said a mouthful, and it was very helpful, very, very helpful. The foods and the vegetables. No one is arguing about the food and the vegetables, but the challenge is now the minerals in the soil are depleted. So an orange doesn't have a seed, a grape doesn't have a seed. These vegetables and fruits that we're purchasing, because we too have read, heard, believed, and understand that those vegetables and fruits are definitely essential. So I got this big plate of food and it's spread it out correctly, but I'm being shortchanged in the field of nutrients, vitamins, minerals, the enzymes that are missing from the food. And is that where the supplements help us, sir?
Absolutely. Absolutely. As a matter of fact, I also recommend that people buy organic foods. The issue with that is some of them are very expensive. So to supplement the deficiency of the nutrients in foods, I also recommend folks buy supplements. They are really very beneficial for assisting and improving the quality of health.
Now, when you say there's a deficiency, what is the percentage from 1 to 100? What is it in your experience? We're not saying you're a medical doctor, you've done the research in a lab, but you certainly have done research enough to be educated enough. You're educating us to get on the trail to re-educate ourselves and be able to bear witness to what you're saying to be the truth. It's not that we doubt you, but everyone should do their own research just like you did. What is the percentage of the deficiency? Because there are people that are eating right, there are people that are exercising, there are people that are doing the correct lifestyles, and yet they are getting sick, they are getting ill, and these illnesses are rapidly rising. So the percentage in your area of research, please.
I really can't identify a particular percentage.
Well, not pinpoint, but can you give me a baseball?
But what I can say is that when you're buying supplements, the bottles or the packages will give a milligram count. For example, I mentioned, if an individual is going to consume vitamin C on a daily basis as a supplement, which they should, my research says take 1,000 milligrams.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to consume cayenne, for example, which is one of the most important herbs, 40,000 heat units, or about 400 milligrams. And
Now, what is that in a spoon?
Oh, in a spoon, it's
Yeah, what
very
you say?
little.
So it's very little.
Very
Okay.
small capsule.
Come on, you're educating
Okay,
me. You said
very small capsule, probably about 3/8 of an inch
Oh,
long.
okay. I buy my
About 3/8 of an
cayenne.
inch long and maybe 1/4 of an inch tall.
I buy mine raw.
Yeah, or you can buy it raw,
You know.
which is the pure powder.
Yeah, right, the
Your
powder.
Pure powder,
but,
and then mix it with your whatever.
but very
juice.
little in
Yeah,
that
very
spoon.
little, yeah.
I see.
Very
Now, what
little.
if I put a little more? Will it hurt? Is it too much?
I don't think so.
Okay.
No, I don't think
I
so.
think I use a little more, and I do it
Yeah.
to kill the parasites that just feed off of our bodies.
Speaking about parasites, cayenne also will kill a sore throat and a cough.
No question.
And I say to folks all the time, you have to use reason and common sense. You can't get carried away. You can't go and take 5, 6 capsules of one particular item when the bottle or the package is recommending 1 or 2. So please, let us use a bit of common sense when we make decisions about what nutrients as supplements we're going to consume on a daily basis.
It's all about balance, indeed.
Yes, it is. It is absolutely about balance.
It's Mr. Edward Johnson. I hope we're listening, taking notes. We're on the top of 2020, and we know we have major concerns in our health in the black community and in this country, and I would dare to believe different parts of the world which seem to be a little healthier than we are. We're going to come back after the commercial break, which we'll go into in about 3 to 4 minutes, not right now, because we want to compare your experience with other countries. People are living longer, people in other countries don't seem to get cancer as much as we do in this country. We want to find out from our guest, is it related to diet? Is it related to a lack of exercise? Because I know you have a lot to tell us about exercising and how much we don't do it. So before we go to the break, we also want to hear your information about drinking water. Just this balance in life. And if we meet the standards of what you're teaching us, because we're here at eLife now, Everlasting Life, Health Food Restaurant, 9185 Central Avenue in Capitol Heights, Maryland. I would ask people to come, eat, enjoy the atmosphere, enjoy the all-natural diet, and things of that nature. So it's Edward Johnson. And we do have time to squeeze in more information before we go to the commercial break. I don't want you to lose your train of thought. Sounds like you.
But I'll address water.
Come on with it.
Let me say this. The most important substance we consume in a 24-hour cycle is oxygen. After oxygen, it's water. There are recommendations about 8 ounces of water on a daily basis. I say drink multiple glasses. I won't say 8. But water is essential because it feeds the organs, the heart, the lungs, the kidney, the livers. None of these organs could function normally if we do not consume a sufficient amount of water on a daily basis. Plus the fact that water flushes the liver and the kidneys. It is again, after oxygen, water is the most important substance we put in our bodies, consistently. And so I want to leave it at that. You got some people who don't drink, and I'll say to those who don't drink sufficient amount of water, as you age, your body will deteriorate on an accelerated basis. Absolutely, if you're not drinking water.
Mr. Edward Johnson, we're here. We're going to take this quick commercial break and thank a couple of our sponsors. Black people are on the rise. And as we're on the rise, we need to be healthy in order to enjoy, in order to maintain what we have to do, not only as a people, but as a humanity, but especially as a people. We certainly have to understand that your health is your wealth. And so doing so will give us a better opportunity to fight the battle, to be able to educate, to be able to do the work that is needed to be done when we are having our experience here as we rise to our liberation. Now, we want to say thank you to a sponsor for making this program possible, and that's S&B Movers and Haulers. Listen, don't you deserve the best when you're having your precious furniture and valuables moved? Don't you, Listen, don't you deserve the very best when you're having your precious furniture and valuables moved across town? Sure you do. And that's just what you'll receive from S&B Moving and Hauling. I definitely know. S&B are professional movers with reasonable, affordable rates and dependable service. Give them a call today. They have free estimates. S&B Movers and Haulers serve the entire DMV area. That's DC, Maryland, and Virginia. You can reach them at 240-507-7103. You can email them at belldogs3@gmail.com. Now, I'll spell that. Bell, B-E-L-L, dogs, D-O-G-G-S, the number 3, @gmail.com. That's S&B Movers. Also, sponsoring this portion of the program is the 100 Fathers Incorporated. Mark your calendars for February 1st, 2020 with the 100 Fathers Incorporated. They're hosting their quarterly community forum. Engage, educate, empower, heal. Their keynote speaker is Attorney Donald Temple. RSVP at join us at 100fathers.org. To see more about 100 Fathers Incorporated and their leader, Franklin Malone, visit 100fathers.org. Ordinary men doing extraordinary things. Okay, so we're back in the studio with our guest, and we can't say it enough. This is the program you will actually be with us. We believe that because black people are on the rise. Don't take my word. We have a correspondent here, and that is Carlton Thompson, and he's going to give a recap of black people on the rise as we came out of 2019. Good evening, Carlton. How are you?
Good evening, Good evening, Miss Nia, and I'm doing great. And good evening to everybody watching tonight. Today I'm going to be sharing with you some of the accomplishments of black people in 2019. In 2019, Tyler Perry celebrated the grand opening of the Tyler Perry Studios. He purchased 330 acres of the former Confederate Army base, Fort McPherson in Georgia. Tyler Perry Studios is the largest film production studio in the nation. Perry is the first African American to own a major film production in the United States. On to our next story. Simone Biles is an American artistic gymnast. Biles is a 5-time world all-around champion. As of the 2019 championships, Simone Biles is the gymnast with the most world medals. Biles is the first American gymnast to win a world medal in every event. On to our final story today. Lamar Jackson is the starting quarterback for the Baltimore Ravens. During the season, he led his team to the AFC North Division title and became the youngest QB to start a playoff game. He also set an NFL record for the most rushing yards in a season by a quarterback. All eyes were on Lamar Jackson to take his team to the Super Bowl. Sadly, it won't be this time. That is all for my segment today with Black People on the Rise. Back to you, Miss Nia.
All right, thank you, Carlton. Indeed, people are not talking about those type of issues. Tyler Perry purchasing 330 acres of land of a former Confederate Army base, Fort McPherson, as Carlton shared with us. And Simone Biles and her amazing record. She had to compete against her own self at one point because there was nobody, equal to the spectacular performances. And those are some examples Carlton was sharing with us of black people are on the rise. And Lamar Jackson, we'll know he'll get it next year, indeed. Thank you, Carlton. Back to our guest, Mr. Edward Johnson, who has invested more than 15 years studying and learning various aspects of spiritual and nutritional healing with prayer, changes in consciousness, supplements, exercise, and he's completing his book titled I Am an Architect for Health. He has a publication he's also had a publication published in the Institute of Architects in August of 2007 entitled I Am What I Eat, Drink, and Exercise. So if you're just tuning in, you want to sit in because this information is life-changing. Remember, you hear it, apply it in order to be successful. Mr. Johnson, we're back with you at this time, and you left us with the most important ingredient to put in our bodies after oxygen, which is water. Any particular water. Dick Gregory used to always emphasize spring water. In your research and as you go around, do you have any recommendation to or for us about any particular water? They got purified water, alkaline water, this type water. What do you say, sir?
Well, I say people buy based on what's convenient. And so their own water in their refrigerator, if it has a filter, is a big plus. But alkaline water, filtered water, whatever you can buy in a reasonable structure that can be beneficial is better than drinking sodas and punch and juices. You really need this water. But beyond that, let me mention something else about quality of health.
Yes, sir.
Here's my formula for health. Each one of us on this planet is a manifestation of what we think, what we eat, how we exercise, how we treat other people, and using I am and I have. Some of us go through the course of the day, every day. I am so sick, I am so depressed, I have cancer, I have diabetes, I am so broke. I am and I have is God. And the Bible says, whatever you ask, believe it, that being done unto you. Let me say that again. Whatever you ask, believe it, and be it done unto you. So when we walk around during the course of the day claiming, I am so broke, you're claiming it, and the universe gives you that. So even if you only have 20 cents in the bank, don't claim being broke. Claim there's an issue with money, but God is eliminating my financial obligations.
So you're saying the way we think and the way we manifest those thoughts into words, you're saying it really makes a difference.
We outpicture our belief by what we speak. We speak into the universe what we believe in. And if we want to improve the quality of our lives, we have to stop condemning ourselves. I am broke. That's condemnation. I have no money. Using these negatives on a frequent basis causes us to think that way. So as opposed to bringing into life the kind of positive experiences that we would love to experience on a daily basis, we're constantly condemning ourselves. We're a manifestation, as I just mentioned, on what we think, eat, exercise, and what we claim and how we treat other people. That is really a true formula for health. We can do part, but mistreat others. And the Bible also says you reap what you sow. So the dirt you do to others, at some point it's going to come back in a different way when we least expect. So part of life's healthy experiences is changing the way we think and changing our behavior. One of the major problems that I'm seeing around me, especially since I've been in business for more than 35 years, is that I've seen so many people mistreating each other. Employers and mistreating employees, and employees mistreating co-workers, and on and on. You have to treat people with respect. Reach out and help another human being that you cannot benefit from. It makes all the difference in the world. There's so many of us that won't reach out to help another human being unless, what am I going to get out of this? No, that's not why God put us on the planet. He put us on the planet to love each other. And love is reaching out and helping each other whenever we can. And you'd be surprised at how that will transform the way you think, transform your behavior, transform the way other people will treat you. When you see somebody begging on the street, don't say anything about them. You either give them a dime or a dollar, but don't say anything. Just bless them and move on. And I say mentally bless them. I bless you, my brother. I bless you, my sister. And let it go. But don't condemn them, because we don't know their circumstances. And I tell people all the time, stop waking up bitching about what you, being negative about, stop waking up being negative about your experiences the day before or in a dream. Wake up being thankful that you're given another day. And that serves to enhance the way you think and behave during the course of the day.
You're absolutely right. Let's go back to that word frequency. When an individual is broke, or you only got $20 to your name, or your example of 20 cents to your name, let's talk. What would you tell that individual to begin to do on a frequent basis? You know, it's not like Shazam and something happens. If you're doing it frequently, what is that process actually doing by doing it frequently? I only have 35 cents to my name today.
Each of us on this planet is a manifestation of what we think and claim. And we are where we are at age 18, 19, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, based upon our belief system and behavior. So we need to change that if we're experiencing a lot of negatives in our lives. So how do you begin to change? You write down what you want. That whole idea about writing down your goals at the beginning of the year. Why? Because it's a new year, a new beginning. We have an opportunity to improve the quality of our lives. So we set goals. One goal is to achieve a job, paying X number of dollars by such and such a date, and then read it every day. You write down what you want, you read it daily, and you claim it. I am thankful for this new blessing that is coming into my life.
So it sounds like you're talking affirmations.
Absolutely.
You're making
Absolutely.
so you're recommending to us on a daily basis, basically to clean up our thoughts,
Right.
to clean up our belief system, whether we see it or not. Begin to practice, as you stated, write it down for some people, and what you read it every day. What other recommendations of positive behaviors that we should adopt in order to get on the road to success?
Do something nice to somebody, for somebody, on a consistent basis, without expecting anything in return.
Beautiful.
Watch what happens. Send love to even people you don't like. Mentally, I love you, my sister. I love you, my brother. I celebrate the Christ in you. I forgive you. I let you go. I release you. We spend too much time in conflict in our minds and in negative thoughts about other people because of the experiences that we've had with them. If we stop concentrating on negatives and change our thought patterns to things that are positive, we create positive experiences. Why is the pharmaceutical industry so powerful? They're on the air every day, 24 hours a day, multitudes of times on an hourly basis, selling information. Why do they do it frequently? To change the way you think. That is the key. So if you're going to improve the quality of your life about your health, you have to change the way you think, and you have to do this gradually. Another example, people come to me a lot about, I can't lose weight. I've tried every kind of diet under the sun. And I say, diets don't work. Why? You're on this planet how many years? 24, 34, 54, and you're carrying all this weight to this point. You need to begin to change the way you think. Now, there are a couple of supplements that are beneficial for helping to lose weight. And I mentioned this idea of starting a day with half a lemon, squeeze the juice and pulp, and 8 ounces of room temperature water 10 minutes before you eat or drink anything else. Now, some people can't consume lemons. Then the other thing I say, also add cayenne capsules to your meals with a liquid. Cayenne, like I mentioned before, cayenne is high in vitamin C. So it builds your cardiovascular system, also heals hemorrhoids, lowers cholesterol, reduces arthritis, burns calories while you're sleeping.
Mm-hmm.
And it does burn calories. There's nothing on the planet that is going to cause you to lose weight instantly, but one can experience transitions based upon behavior, what one consumes, and I say cut back. Cut back on the major items that are adding to weight, which are white bread, white sugar, white rice, white potatoes, all convert to sugar in the body. So not to diet, but to find an area that contributes to the weight and begin to cut back on that. So you're changing what? Changing your habits, changing the way you think. That will help. Folks who come to me with arthritis, and I say red clover and cayenne in combination will help to reduce that. Will it eliminate? I can't say that. Every human body is different. But it will serve to improve the quality of health. Remember, I mentioned early on that God gave us enormous nutrients that are either in the ground or on the planet, above the planet, your fruits on your trees, your apples, for example. That whole business about an apple a day keeps the doctor away. Why? An apple is high in vitamin C, builds a cardiovascular system. High in pectin, blood cleanser. High in quercetin, which reduces inflammation in your sinuses and in your lungs. As a matter of fact, these same nutrients you can buy in a health food store in capsule or liquid forms. Quercetin, when you buy it, a lot of people have got sinus and lung problems from the bad air and toxins in the air, toxins from cars and so forth. And I say you can buy quercetin, Quercitin, from your local health food market. When you do so, it is sold as a capsule. It is sold with bromelain, which is the byproduct of the pineapple, which reduces inflammation in your sinuses and your lungs. It also comes with vitamin C. So if you buy bromelain, it has these 3 nutrients that will help to reduce and improve your lungs. In addition, apples contain potassium, which helps to lower blood pressure. In addition, apples contain boron, which heals cracked and broken bones. You can buy all these nutrients in concentrated forms in your health food markets. Your pineapple, as I just mentioned, reduces inflammation. So beyond the taste, it is great for reducing inflammation in your connective tissues, and on and on.
Let's talk about youth, young people. They're coming down with diseases. I mean, you're seeing young people today with arthritis, with cancer, with diabetes. What do you think is promoting bad health in children today? How would you recommend to parents to help their children besides the supplements?
Cut back on the sugar.
Let's talk about sugar.
Cut back on processed sugar.
Let's talk about processed sugar.
Processed sugar produces arthritis. It has a negative effect on the heart. It has a negative effect on your blood vessels. It can clog the blood vessels, not to mention cholesterol from certain foods that we consume as well. And so I say on a frequent basis, to improve the quality of health, you have to change the way you think and adjust the diet.
Let's stay on sugar. Let's stay on sugar because sugar is in everything.
Yes, it is.
Some things sugar is in, you don't even know it's in there. So children, how are they coming up with these horrible diseases that used to be found in adults back in the day that children are being diagnosed more and more? So sugar, and I want to talk about salt as well.
A lot of junk food.
Sugar is horribly addictive. And what happens if you know what that craving is, you know?
Sugar is more addictive than heroin.
That's what I'm hearing. That's
More
what Dick
addictive than
Gregory
heroin.
used to say always.
And so I say to parents,
I want you to say that again. That's a
Yeah.
powerful,
sugar is
truthful.
more addictive than heroin.
That's a powerful,
And
truthful
if you start your
statement.
kids, your babies, on a lot of artificial sugars, and meaning the foods you feed, the liquids you feed, and the cereals that are fed to children, to babies and then children, that has an effect. And after a while, the craving begins. So when they're in
Around what
position-
age does the craving
I
begin?
can't tell you that.
Okay.
But it's there.
But they're
We plant-
fed.
we
That's what they're
plant the seed,
introduced
yeah.
to. Yes, sir.
We plant the seed.
Yes, sir.
And so once they start school, they're buying so many processed foods, not to mention the cookies and the candies and so forth and so on, as opposed to fruits and consuming a lot of veggies. These vegetables are so important because they have so many vitamins and minerals, and I gave a couple of examples.
Even with the depletion, we should still consume vegetables, fruits, even knowing that some of them don't have the powerful effect that they used to have back in the day.
Well, try as much as reasonably possible, and as much as
And get the supplements.
as much as the income will allow to buy organic foods. For example, today, the tomatoes that we buy in your average store doesn't have a taste because they're artificially produced under a lot of lights inside of enclosed areas as opposed to grown in the sunlight. So I say when you can buy organic foods.
And like
But
you
beyond
mentioned
that,
earlier,
the
you said they're a
supplements.
little more expensive,
Yeah.
but they're better than these shiny, bright-looking green, red fruits and food we think we're really getting, and we're really not.
And as I mentioned, the supplements, which are your roots, barks, berries, leaves, and flowers from plants across the planet,
Mm-hmm.
are very, very essential for serving to enhance the quality of health.
It will help.
They definitely will help.
What do you say to the farmers or the big companies that are making decisions to grow an apple in a rate that is abnormal, or grow fruits and cabbage and other things just to make a profit, and then we consume those foods and we see little girls with breasts very, very early. Boys are maturing at an earlier rate. So we are attempting to buy these foods, to eat healthy. But as you emphasize, if we can, and we can, let's get more of an organic diet in our groceries so that we have a better chance to grow normal.
Yeah, well, a major problem is that the growers are using substances to accelerate the growth. Number two, a lot of these fruits and vegetables are sprayed with chemicals to keep the bugs from destroying the fruits and the vegetables. So that's having a tremendous impact on the public as well.
What is the impact it's having,
We're seeing all the diseases,
such as?
cancer, diabetes, heart disease, and so forth.
What about fasting? How does fasting help us, if, in your opinion? Does fasting help us?
Helps to cleanse the body. Helps to cleanse the body and the mind. It helps to regenerate all the organs in the body.
So you would
Fasting with
recommend
water.
fasting?
Fasting with water. Yes.
With water.
To cleanse. Yes.
Coffee, how about drinking coffee?
Well,
What's your tell on that?
some things in moderation,
Mm-hmm.
including
Mhm.
coffee. Some things in moderation, including coffee.
Yeah,
There's no perfect diet. I want to be clear about that. There's no
Mhm.
perfect diet. But changes to more natural substances on a daily basis will, in fact, improve the quality of health. And then you have to exercise. That's another
We'll
issue.
get to exercise in a minute. Meat. People love to eat meat. What is your research saying about meat? Besides moderation, I guess everything we do,
Is in
we do it in moderation. We're not saying don't eat meat, but we're saying don't eat it 5, 6, 7, 8 times a day. Eat it for a snack. Everything in moderation. Everything in balance. What has your research showed you about consuming meat?
Well, we all know, based on information that is provided on television, including the internet, that many of the beef and the cattle, even the chickens, are fed products that accelerate the growth. So that's being consumed by us.
Shouldn't that be outlawed though? That should be a crime. You know, that somebody can inject an animal to have it grow faster so that they can get it on the market to sell, and this injection is basically poison. It's nothing from the supplements that you're telling us about.
Well, the theory is we got more millions of people to feed on a daily basis, and that's how they get product to market. However, the other issue that needs to be addressed by our politicians is to look at techniques and strategies to produce more food on a natural basis. That is really key.
How
Get
about
more
people?
food.
How about people having their own gardens? What do you say to people that want to
Some
grow their
people
own
do.
food?
Some people do. I grow
You
tomatoes.
recommend it?
Yes, indeed. I grow tomatoes in my backyard.
Yes, sir.
I don't even wash them off. I just pull them off the vine in the summer and wipe them on my cup if I have a long sleeve shirt on, or wipe them on my t-shirt.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, your natural products, it's a huge difference in taste and a huge difference in how you feel. And so, because we're consuming so many substances that have a negative impact on health, I say we need to cleanse more frequently. Water helps to cleanse the colon. So does cayenne help to cleanse the colon. So does organic apple cider vinegar help to cleanse the colon. So does that lemon and water help to cleanse the colon. So in addition to making changes to diet, we need to pursue those substances, and I just mentioned 3+ water,
Mhm.
that helps to cleanse the colon. We're experiencing a lot of colon cancer because
Especially in the
of-
black community.
Yes, because of the poor diet that so many blacks are consuming. We need to cut back on the fast foods because they are processed and developed so that they have a longer shelf life, which also has an impact on what's going on in our digestive tract.
Let's get to your book. We don't want to get to the end of the interview. And how can people viewing this get more information from you? How can they get your book? And when do you expect your book to be on the market?
Couple months. Now, let me mention this.
Yes,
To
sir.
contact me, I have an email address. It's ejohnson@emjohnson.com. I have a phone number, which is 202-526-3610. It's difficult to get me because I have a lot of people calling. It's easier for me to receive my emails. I may not review them the day I get them, but I do review my emails. Again, ejohnson@emjohnson.com. Now, let me share one other point, very important.
Yes, sir.
What separates me from the PhDs and the MDs on the planet in terms of being blessed and having strength of integrity and believing in God. On the 5th of February 1999 at 12:15 p.m., while conducting a site inspection of a building my firm designed in Los Angeles, California, 3,000 miles from my office here in D.C., I leaned on a wall that turned out to be a piece of plastic. I fell 11 feet to a concrete floor in my skull. I died on the spot. Let me repeat that again. I fell 11 feet to a concrete floor on the top of my skull. I died on the spot. My client brings me back to breathe very faintly. Orthodontist who saw this. I cracked 8 ribs in my left chest, major concussion to my head, lost a lot of blood out of my head. I cracked 8 ribs in my left chest, dislocated one in my right chest, dislocated my right hip, my right knee, and died in a pool of blood. My client brings me back to breathe very faintly. I wake up 15 hours later in the hospital, walked out in 3.5 days.
Now, that was pretty fast.
3.5 days. Why did I do this? Because God told me I had work for you to do.
So you fell, and you sustained all of those injuries, and
That's in the
you,
book
you
right
literally died.
Yes, I did. My client brings me back to breathe very faintly. I wake up permanently 15 hours later in the hospital. This is in the book. I talk about this experience.
What's the name of the book?
I am an architect for health because so many people have debilitating accidents, and the doctors tell them you're going to be in bad shape for the rest of your life, and they did tell me that because of my age, and I refused to accept anything they said. And everything the doctors told me in that hospital, I said I reject and deny all of your negative comments about my health.
You told them that.
Oh, absolutely. And those that I didn't, I said it in my head. I thank you, Father, for that perfect and divine health that is flowing from the top of my head to the tips of my fingers to the bottom of my toes, throughout every atom of my being, every molecule of my existence, and every cell of my body. Thank you, Father, for that healing presence.
So
and I did it a lot.
This was your main thought while you were
Yes,
in that hospital.
which is why I believe I walked out of that hospital in 3.5 days.
And I mean, amazing.
3.5
Praise be
days.
to Allah, God. So
And
it's
never
the
looked
power,
back.
yes, sir, and didn't ever look back. It's the power of positive thinking,
Yes.
along with this balanced lifestyle. It's not just eating. We didn't get on exercise. We
Eating.
are at the end of the show because you have something to say about exercising too. Please share. Edward Johnson is our guest.
Stretching is exceptionally beneficial for health. If you stretch, you keep your muscles flexible. You keep your joints flexible. Bending down, bending up, bending knees, bending sideways, whatever. Stretching is very essential. Plus, there's certain stretches that one can do at night before going to bed that will help you to sleep better. For example, if you put your arms straight up in the air and then push up left and right.
Let's see.
This, not this, but straight up in the air. Push your arms left and right, maybe 20, 30 times with each arm. And then bend forward and do maybe 20 knee bends, body bends to touch the floor if you can. What are you doing? You're stretching all the muscles, ligaments, tendons, blood vessels, and your nerves along your spine. You're basically self-massaging. This will help you to calm down because so many of us go to bed stressed out. And I also say, do some deep breathing. Sit on the side of your bed, breathe in your mouth and out your nose, maybe 7 times. Deep breaths in the nose, out the mouth. What are you doing? You're bringing lots of oxygen into the lungs, which gets transferred to the brain, causing the blood vessels in the brain to dilate. It helps you to calm down. And then one other factor that's going to be included. God gave us all these essential oils, one of which is called lavender. Lavender is very calming. So if you take, they come in these little tiny bottles about 1.5 inches tall, and you take a drop and put on your top lip, or put it on, spread it across your pillow. It's very calming. It will help you to rest. There are so many people that are going to bed stressed out, and it doesn't matter about income. It's across the income order, everywhere, because people are taking the issues that they've experienced during the course of the day, issues with children, husband, wives, girlfriend, boyfriends, fiancés, etc., and taking it to bed. And then ask God to give you and thank Him for a peaceful and restful night's sleep before you get to bed. Watch how it changes your ability to sleep.
That's very, very, very helpful information from our guest, Mr. Edward Johnson. His book is coming out real soon. He gave his phone number. We'll make sure he gives his number again. And the name of the book is I Am
An Architect for Health.
I Am an Architect for Health. And by trade and his occupation, he was an architect.
Is still.
Still an
Still an
architect.
architect.
And I think you didn't share. Please share with us. Aren't you a black belt, a yellow belt, or something?
Please, I don't really want to talk about that.
You don't
I'm
want to
telling
talk about that?
No, I am, but I don't want to talk about
Yeah,
that.
I mean, he's in shape, you know, and the information he's sharing at the top of the year. We need a made-up mind. We need a made-up mind. We need to make our minds up. If we don't do all that he said, we're going to do a few things that he said, a little bit at a time, in order to work up a good habit, to take control of your thinking. Because Dr. Carter G. Woodson said that when a man can control your thinking, man, woman, that he doesn't have to worry about your actions. And we have come out of 2019, it's gone. It's not coming back to our knowledge. This is the top of 2020. We're in January, and we can make a change because black people are on the rise. And let us rise up with our health first. You gave great examples of love, great examples of charity, great examples of how to de-stress and not take life so serious and turn mean and horrible within ourselves that sometimes we wonder, why did I say that? When you're not controlling yourself. So keep tuned right here to Black People Are on the Rise. I'm your host, Nia 2X. We'll give our guest the final words before we close here at eLife. That's Everlasting Life, 9185 Central Avenue here in Maryland. Make sure you come down and get yourself a hearty meal, a drink, a supplement, or what have you. You have 10 seconds. Sir.
Okay. Forgive all the dirt that's done is difficult. Forgive, let it go, and bless a person. Forgive, let it go, and bless. As a man or woman thinketh and behave, so is he or she.
Thank you, Mr. Edward Johnson. Thank you to our engineer. Thank you to our sponsors. Thank you to our viewers. And we'll have the great niece of Harriet Tubman be our next guest here on Black People Are on the Rise. And you know I can't go without saying thank you to Carlton Thompson, bringing us that updated information, how we left out of 2019 on a positive note. Thank you. Peace, readers lead, and leaders read. Peace to everyone.